Hello and welcome to The Explainer, where we make complex topics simple and, most importantly, memorable.
So, if you're studying for the IBA test, you already know the deal. Learning hundreds of difficult English words, it's a huge challenge. It can really feel like you're trying to climb an impossible mountain. But here's the thing, there's a much better way than just staring at a list and trying to memorize everything. We're going to group these words by their core meaning. Why? Because it helps you learn them faster and, crucially, remember them when you're under pressure. When the words are connected, your brain just holds on to them better.
So how are we going to do it? Well, here's our roadmap for today. We've got 5 simple groups, and we're going to kick things off with words that describe things that are unclear or maybe just not true.
Okay, let's dive right in. Our first set of words is all about things that are hard to see, hard to trust, or, just plain false.
First up is elusive. Think of something slippery, something you just can't quite get a grip on. It could be an idea, like the elusive concept of true happiness. Or it could be something physical, like a rare shy animal in the forest that's elusive and hard to photograph.
And here is just a brilliant way to remember this word. The eelish fish is famous for being super slippery and really hard to catch. So just like that fish is hard to hold on to, anything that is elusive is hard to grasp or achieve.
Now be careful. This is a common point of confusion. An elusive lake in the desert is a mirage. It's just an illusion. It isn't really there. But finding real water in that same desert, that would be an elusive goal, meaning it's a real thing. It's just very, very difficult to find.
Okay, next up, obscure. This word has 3 main meanings, and they're all related to not being seen clearly. First, it can mean not well known, like an obscure little village nobody's ever heard of. Second, it can mean unclear or hard to understand, like a very complex and obscure scientific theory. And finally, it can literally mean dark or hidden from view, like an obscure corner of a basement.
Now, for a great comparison that all comes down to one little idea: danger. A connection between two people can be tenuous. That just means it's weak or fragile. But if a ladder is in a precarious position, well, that means it's not just weak, it's unstable and dangerous. It feels like it could fall any second.
This next word, insidious, describes a kind of sneaky danger. It's something that grows slowly and quietly so you don't even notice it until the damage is already done. Think of an insidious disease that doesn't show symptoms for years, or the insidious spread of a rumor that slowly ruins a person's reputation. It's harm that just creeps up on you.
All right, pay attention here because this is a classic test-taker trap. A specious argument is one that sounds really good and logical on the surface, but it's actually based on faulty reasoning. It's misleading. A spurious rumor, on the other hand, is just straight-up fake. There's no truth to it at all. And then there's spacious, which has nothing to do with truth. It just means a place is big and has lots of room.
Let's move on to our next group. This section is all about quantity, from having way too little of something to having more than you could ever need.
Both of these words mean not a lot, but they have slightly different flavors. A meager salary isn't enough to live on comfortably. It's about the quantity or quality being insufficient. A sparse forest, however, has trees that are spread really far apart. It's more about being thinly scattered.
Okay, so we've talked about what happens when there's too little. But what do we call it when we've got plenty of something?
The word for that is copious. It's the direct opposite of meager. So if you take copious notes in a lecture, that means you wrote down a ton of information. You have an abundant, plentiful supply.
All right, group 3. This one's all about action. We're talking about beginning something, blocking something, or, well, stating something.
Now this is a really important distinction. The key difference here is feeling. You instigate something bad. You instigate trouble, a fight, or a nasty rumor. But you initiate something neutral or even good, like initiating a new project or initiating a conversation. Which word you use really shows your judgment of the situation.
To impede something is to get in its way and slow it down or block it. For example, heavy traffic might impede your journey to work. And a lack of confidence can be a major impediment, that's the noun form, to achieving your dreams.
The word profess is interesting because it has 2 very different faces. On one hand, you can profess your love for someone when you don't actually mean it. That's an insincere claim. But on the other hand, you can publicly and formally profess your faith or your commitment to a cause, and that's a sincere, open declaration.
Okay, let's move on to some words that are perfect for describing people, their skills, their personality, and their behavior. These are awesome adjectives to have in your back pocket. This slide gives us 4 fantastic words. Let's break them down. First, adept. It means you're highly skilled at something. An expert. A master chef is adept at creating new recipes. Next, reticent. This describes someone who is quiet and doesn't really like to share personal things. He was very reticent about his past. Then we have contentious. A contentious person just loves to argue and start disagreements. And finally, impertinent. This one just means you're being disrespectful and rude, especially to someone you should be respecting, like an elder or a boss. All right, we're in the home stretch. Our final group of words looks at how things relate to each other, or if they even relate at all.
Let's wrap up with these 4 useful concepts. First, disparate. This means things are completely different and unrelated. You might have a team with people from disparate fields like science and music. The opposite of that is pertinent. Pertinent information is directly relevant and important to the topic at hand. Next, concurrent events are things that are happening at the exact same time. And finally, an inadvertent action is one that's unintentional. You didn't mean to do it. It was just an accident, like when you inadvertently hit reply all on an email.
And there you have it. By grouping words by idea, you can see how they become so much easier to understand and remember than if they were just on a random list. You've just added 25 powerful words to your vocabulary. The only question is, which one are you going to use first?